Hillel sandwich, named after Rabbi Hillel the Elder, who lived around 110 BCE to 10 CE. During Passover, Jews combined matzah, lamb, and bitter herbs. Symbolic, ritualistic, and absolutely a sandwich. This is where it actually started. Not with some British aristocrat in 1762, but with ancient religious tradition over 1700 years earlier. The story everyone knows is that John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, was too busy gambling in 1762 to stop for meals. He ordered meat tucked between 2 slices of bread so he could eat without leaving the table. Brilliant innovation, right? Completely made up. He didn't invent anything. He just popularized asking for it by name. Medieval peasants ate trenchers, stale bread used as edible plates. You'd pile stew on top, let it soak, then eat the whole thing. The Ottomans had their wraps. Every culture figured out that bread makes food portable. But Montagu's gambling buddies started ordering the same as sandwich, and boom, accidental branding. The sandwich became British property through pure PR. Ancient Jews did it. Medieval peasants lived on it. The Ottomans perfected it. But the Earl got the trademark because he was rich and his friends talked about him. Food history is just successful marketing with better ingredients. And if you think naming rights are arbitrary now, wait until you hear about sandwiches that literally powered industrial empires. Because the Earl's gambling snack was adorable. The next generation fed the people who built the modern world. Club sandwich. Nobody knows who invented it. The Saratoga Clubhouse claimed 1894. The Union Club of New York City said 1899. Both were wealthy gambling establishments, serving portable food to men too important to stop playing cards. Sound familiar? Rich people kept independently discovering that meat between bread was convenient, then fighting over credit. Here's what actually mattered. Factory workers during the Industrial Revolution needed calories fast. The lunch pail revolution happened because 12-hour shifts in coal mines and textile mills didn't allow time for sit-down meals. Sandwiches became the ultimate working-class fuel. Cheap bread, whatever filling you could afford, eaten standing up. Chip Buddy. British factory workers and coal miners created it. 2 slices of white bread, butter, and French fries. That's it. Carbohydrates on carbohydrates because men working underground needed 5,000 calories per day just to survive their shifts. This wasn't cuisine. This was survival math wrapped in bread. Cotton mill workers in Manchester ate jam sandwiches. Dockhands in Liverpool packed fish paste between slices. American factory workers brought bologna and cheese. Every industrialized nation developed its own version because the sandwich solved the same problem everywhere. How do you feed someone who can't stop working? The contrast is absurd. Wealthy club members arguing about who invented the seed, triple-decker bacon, and turkey creation, while coal miners were eating literal carb sandwiches in the dark, 300 feet underground. Both called them sandwiches. Only one actually mattered to the economy. Here's where it gets interesting. Workers didn't want just fuel forever. They wanted flavor. Immigrant communities flooding into industrial cities brought their own food traditions, their own solutions to the portable meal problem. And that collision between necessity and culture, that's where sandwiches stopped being just food and became identity. Remember this because we're coming back to authenticity battles. But first, you need to understand how sandwiches became cultural warfare. Banh mi, the Vietnamese baguette sandwich, evolved during French colonial occupation from the 1880s through 1954. France brought baguettes to Vietnam. Vietnamese cooks spent decades adapting it, but the modern banh mi, French bread filled with Vietnamese pâté, pickled daikon and carrots, cilantro, cucumber, chilies, mayonnaise, became standardized after the French withdrew in 1954. The colonizers brought the foundation. Vietnam transformed it over 70 years and sold it back to the world. This wasn't fusion cuisine. This was resistance in sandwich form. French ingredients transformed by Vietnamese technique and flavor profiles into something the French could never have imagined. The banh mi is what happens when occupied people take your culture and improve it through decades of quiet rebellion. The pattern repeats everywhere immigrants landed. Italian beef. Chicago, 1930s. Italian immigrants during the Great Depression. Cheap cuts of beef slow roasted, sliced thin, piled onto Italian rolls, soaked in cooking juices. Stretching meat to feed families when money disappeared. Now, it's Chicago's signature sandwich, and people fight about giardiniera ratios like it's religious doctrine. Cuban sandwich. Tampa's Ybor City, 1900s through 1920s. Cuban cigar workers created it. Ham, roasted pork, Swiss cheese, pickles, mustard, pressed flat on Cuban bread. Tampa's original version included Genoa salami because Italian immigrants worked alongside Cubans in the cigar factories. Miami's Cuban exile community in the 1960s adopted it but dropped the salami. Now, both cities claim ownership and will argue about authenticity for hours. Here's what's uncomfortable. These sandwiches were invented by desperate people, improvising with what they could afford or access. Now, they're cultural identity markers. People have genuine arguments about traditional recipes for food created by immigrants who were just trying to eat something that tasted like home. The banh mi represents Vietnamese resilience. The Italian beef means Chicago pride. The Cuban sandwich symbolizes immigrant solidarity, then exile survival. We turn necessity into nostalgia, then monetize the nostalgia while arguing about whose version is real. And if you think fighting about sandwich, authenticity is intense, wait until corporations get involved. Because the next generation industrialized everything we just talked about, stripped out the soul, and made billions doing it. Big Mac. Introduced in 1967 by Jim Delegati, a McDonald's franchisee in Pittsburgh who was experimenting with menu items corporate didn't approve. 2 1.6-ounce beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun with a middle club layer. Corporate initially rejected it. Now, it's the most recognizable sandwich on Earth. McDonald's sells over 450 million Big Macs annually in the United States alone. Worldwide, nearly 900 million. Every single one nearly identical. Same patty weight, same sauce ratio, same assembly order. From Tokyo to Toledo, a Big Mac tastes exactly the same. We industrialized what was once hyperlocal and handmade. Here's what's weird. The Big Mac was designed by committee to feel handmade. That special sauce is Thousand Island dressing with extra steps, mayonnaise, sweet pickle relish, yellow mustard, vinegar, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. The middle bun exists purely for structural integrity and to make it look bigger. Everything about it is calculated, engineered, focus grouped. It succeeds by simulating the authenticity previous sandwiches had naturally. Fast food chains exported American sandwich culture worldwide. Subway has over 37,000 locations globally, more than McDonald's. KFC chicken sandwiches in Beijing, Burger King Whoppers in Berlin. We took the most personal food format, immigrants adapting recipes, workers making do with what they had, and made it corporate, consistent, predictable, soulless. And it worked, because humans are exhausted and consistency feels like comfort. You know exactly what you're getting. No surprises, no variation. Just reliable mediocrity delivered fast. The contrast is brutal. 1 generation ago, every sandwich shop was different. Every deli had its own technique. Now we have global chains serving identical products engineered for maximum efficiency and minimum personality. But fast food sandwiches were just the warm-up. Next, sandwiches stopped being food and became political statements. Tribal markers, identity warfare with mayonnaise. Popeye's Chicken Sandwich, August 12th, 2019. Popeyes launched a fried chicken sandwich, and Twitter immediately exploded into corporate warfare. Chick-fil-A fired back. Wendy's joined in. The sandwich sold out in 2 weeks. Restocked November 3rd. Lines wrapped around buildings. November 4th, a man was stabbed to death outside a Maryland Popeyes after cutting in line. Actual violence over fast food chicken between bread. This wasn't about hunger. This was tribal identity. Chick-fil-A had political baggage. The company's charitable foundation donated millions to organizations opposing same-sex marriage. Eating there became a political statement. Boycotting it became another statement. Then Popeyes offered an alternative, and people chose sides like it was a referendum on values, not poultry. Impossible Whopper, Burger King, 2019. A plant-based burger that tasted like meat. Vegans complained it was cooked on the same grill as beef. Meat eaters felt threatened by its existence. A sandwich became a culture war proxy battle between dietary philosophies and environmental politics. Here's where it gets truly absurd. The hot dog debate. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Merriam-Webster Dictionary officially weighed in. The National Hot Dog and Sausage Council issued a formal statement in 2015. Hot dogs are not sandwiches. People have genuine, passionate arguments about sandwich taxonomy. Structural purists say sandwiches require 2 separate pieces of bread. Ingredient rebels say it's about filling between starch. The cube rule of food classification emerged online. Someone created an actual chart categorizing food by starch position. Tacos are sandwiches, apparently. Pop-Tarts, too. The internet lost its mind. Remember when banh mi was about colonial resistance? When the Italian beef represented Depression-era resourcefulness? Now sandwiches are about which corporation has the funniest Twitter account, and whether your lunch choice signals your politics. We've gone from portable food to identity warfare. Every sandwich launch is a tribal marker. Every menu choice a statement. And if you think that's the peak of sandwich absurdity, we haven't even gotten to robots making your lunch yet. Creator, a San Francisco vending machine restaurant that opened in 2021 with robotic arms making fresh sandwiches in under 60 seconds. Glass cubes visible to customers. Precise ingredient dispensing measured to the gram. Zero human involvement in assembly. $7 to $8 sandwiches made by machines trained on optimal ingredient ratios for structural integrity and flavor balance. The company closed in 2024, but the concept persists everywhere. Ghost kitchens exploded. During the pandemic, cloud kitchens running 20 virtual restaurant brands from a single location, each optimized for delivery app algorithms. Sandwiches designed for Instagram, not flavor. High contrast ingredients. Cheese pulls. Visual appeal over taste, because the algorithm rewards engagement metrics, not customer satisfaction. Here's what nobody wants to admit. We're now building sandwiches optimized for metrics instead of people. DoorDash search rankings. Uber Eats photography requirements. TikTok virality potential. The sandwich exists to photograph well and arrive structurally intact after a 20-minute motorcycle ride. Whether it tastes good is secondary to whether it trends. AI recipe generation started appearing. Algorithms determining optimal flavor profiles through data analysis of millions of reviews. No human intuition, no cultural tradition, just pattern recognition, creating optimal combinations that taste like focus-grouped nothing. The irony is brutal. Fast. Food felt soulless 20 years ago. Now people are nostalgic for Subway because at least humans assembled it. At least there was someone behind the counter. The corporate sandwiches we complained about in the previous generation now feel authentic compared to algorithm-optimized robot food. We've gone from Rabbi Hillel's Passover ritual to AI-generated recipes assembled by robots for delivery apps. From religious symbolism to automated efficiency. From cultural identity to engagement optimization. Here's the thing. We're building sandwiches that don't need us. Not to make them. Not to design them. Soon, not even to order them. Your phone will predict you want lunch and have it delivered before you're hungry. That's either the future of convenience or a dystopia where even lunch is determined by algorithms. And honestly, we're about to find out which one in real time.